Hello, historians. This is a recorded lesson for Thursday, March 12th. Welcome, everybody. Glad you made it to this video. So, in this lesson, I will be going over a few announcements and then getting into the instructions of how to complete the assignment, the 3.5 TGA. All right, just a couple of announcements. As we've been talking about, the third quarter is coming to the end in a couple weeks. So what that means is two things. Number one, for this class, whatever grade you want in your progress report, make sure you have your grades up to what you want by March 27th. And then more importantly, the quarter 3 assignments will lock on March 30th. And what that means for this class is assignments, TGAs from units 1, 2, and 3. So I believe that's 1.10, 2.05, and 3.05. I might have my numbers off, but any TGA from units 1, 2, and 3 are going to lock on March 30th at 4 p.m. At that point on March 30th, all 3 assignments will have been due for quite some long time, and March 30th is the drop dead date to get those submitted. And also any resubmissions. If you want to resubmit those assignments for a better grade after you've already submitted them, go ahead, but the deadline for that is also March 30th. All right, don't forget the weekly announcement. This is where you check weekly announcements so you know what to do each week. For this week, we want to make sure that we are getting up through your lessons up to 3.5. Make sure you complete the 3.2 quiz that was due on Tuesday, March 10th, and then get a good start on your 3.5 TGA after I explain it here in just a few minutes. All right, then lastly, I believe the last announcement is how to get points for Unit 3. There are 4 ways. There's 3.2 and 3.8 quizzes, and there's 3.5 TGA and the 310 test. All right, so once again, what you should be doing this week is making sure you get working through your lessons up to 3.5. Make sure you're getting that done this week. Make sure you're completing the 3.2 quiz and getting a good start on your TGA. All right, time to pay attention. I'm going to introduce the Unit 3.5 TGA. So as we've been discussing, we're coming out of World War II, still trying to figure out this world safety thing of making sure our freedoms are safe here in the United States and around the world. So JFK gave a famous speech in 1960, and that's what we're going to take a look at in this assignment. So this assignment is worth 120 points. It's due on Tuesday, March 17th. You will have some workshop time during class to work on this tomorrow, Friday the 13th, and then again on Monday and Tuesday next week. But just kind of a heads up, for Monday and Tuesday next week, we're also on the schedule that's going to be completing lessons 3.6 through 3.8. That'll show up in the weekly announcement for next week. Again, this assignment is going to lock on March 30th at 4 p.m. Okay, getting into the assignment here, 120 points, the 3.5 TGA JFK inaugural address. Here's the introduction to it. President John F. Kennedy was the 35th president of the United States. In this assignment, we'll analyze his inaugural address and his perspective on the role and responsibility of United States citizens to serve their country and how the U.S. should be a contributor to global affairs. Okay. In 1960, the presidential election was one of the closest in history, leaving the country divided. President Kennedy took this inaugural address as an opportunity to unite the United States people around a common enemy, which was communism. He did this in many ways, including contrasting the values of the U.S. with those of American foreign adversaries, thereby creating a unified us versus them. We are working towards the Cold War, if you haven't noticed, and at this point we're already well into the Cold War. Kennedy's speech ushered in a foreign policy shift, calling on U.S. citizens to bear the responsibility in the U.S. and worldwide for upholding and promoting democracy. and its associated values of freedom and equality. Okay, so in the middle, in this assignment, using the links below or using the link below, watch the inaugural address. So you need to watch the address so you can get the feel for what he's saying, listen to what he says. And then below, we're going to go through the speech and analyze several different passages, and I'll show you what those are. Please save your assignment as we have been, using the format highlighted and bolded in red. You can't miss it. Title your file when you save it, the HST313B _ last name _ ID number. It's the class name, your last name, and your ID number. Please don't put anything else, just that. That way I can save it properly. Okay, so there is the JFK inaugural speech video. Watch that if you want to see the text of it. I also have a link for that. And note at the very bottom it says AI-generated sentences will not be accepted. Please just read the passage when we go over those and just do your own analysis. AI sentences won't be accepted. Okay? All right, let's get into this. There's going to be 5 parts to this assignment. So JFK inaugural address, directions. You have listened to and watched the inaugural address, so make sure you have. Now take the time to go through the passages of the speech below and analyze what JFK was telling the people in attendance that day and those citizens that were watching it. Okay, each section will instruct you what to do. Okay, so 5 sections, and all 5 of them are very similar, the same pattern. So we'll go through each of them fairly quickly. So part 1, the bullet point says, after watching the inaugural address, what 6 or 7 key words in this passage stand out to you? Yes, sorry, that 6, 7 was not on purpose. What 6 or 7 key words in this passage stand out to you? Write them in the box below. So you are going to read this passage and note 6 or 7 keywords and write them in the box. What 6 or 7 keywords stand out to you? Okay. And then using those 6 or 7 keywords, write 2 or 3 sentences explaining what JFK is trying to tell us in that passage. Okay. And then a third question, according to the opening of this address from the passage above, right? We're reading this passage. From the opening of the passage, what human rights are threatened? He notes some human rights that are threatened that we need to protect. What are those human rights that are threatened? Okay. So that is part 1. All right, part 2, JFK makes several pledges for America during his address. Read the passage below. Okay. What pledge in this passage is JFK making? And to whom is this pledge made for? Who's he pledging to? Okay. Pretty easy. That's part 2. Part 3, once again, read this passage and you're going to note 6 or 7 key words that stand out to you from this passage. And from this passage, use those key words to write 2 or 3 sentences. What is he trying to tell us? What is he trying to tell the American people to do here? Okay, 2 or 3 sentences. That's part 3. Part 4, very similar, 6 to 7 words, key words that stand out to you from this passage. Write down those key words. And then once again, using those 6 or 7 keywords, write a 2 or 3 sentence summary of what he's saying. And then the third bullet point, according to the speech, how has each generation of Americans given testimony to its loyalty and willing to maintain our freedom? According to his speech, not your opinion, according to his speech. What testimony have generations before us been willing to give to maintain our freedom? Okay. Section number 4. All right, section number 5, in closing, again, here's a passage from the speech. Write 6 or 7 keywords that stand out to you. from that passage. Okay. Again, use those 6 or 7 words to write 2 or 3 sentences to summarize in your own words what he's trying to say in this passage. And lastly, according to President Kennedy, not your opinion, according to President Kennedy, whose work is it? Whose work is this, and what will the reward of service be? Who is supposed to do this, and what will the reward be? And that'll be from this passage. Okay? Okay, that's part 5. All right, so you guys, this is a fairly short video. You can get a good start of it during this U.S. history period. Again, we'll take a few minutes, or actually most of the class tomorrow to be able to work on this. You can ask me questions and get help. We'll also be working on this on Monday and Tuesday next week. It will be due Tuesday next week, but also on Monday and Tuesday, we need to be making sure we're also doing lessons 3.6 to 3.8. Okay. All right, make sure you guys are following the schedule listed on the weekly announcement. Make sure you're up to 3.5 in your lessons. Make sure you complete 3.2 quiz this week. It's already past due. And make sure you get a good start on your 3.5 TGA. That's going to be due on Tuesday, not Monday. Okay, that is it for this video. Have a great rest of your Thursday, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Get ready to do some workshop time. Make sure you've watched the video so you can start working on this assignment. Have a great day. See you guys tomorrow.